Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Hangout on Air. Our topic today is Ask an Expert Google Sites, and our experts are Danielle Scaramellino from New Visions for Public Schools. She's a program officer that works on the system development team. Danielle, you want to say hi to everyone?
Hey everyone.
And Christina Mondini, our sites expert locally at Google. She is a program manager in enterprise. And my name is Debbie Liu, and I am also on the community team here in Google Enterprise. So the way we're going to work today is that we're going to go through Christina's top tips, which will be more about the designs and basics around developing a Google site, and then moving into Danielle's top tips. Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Hangout on Air. Our topic today is Ask an Expert Google Sites, and our expert. All right, sorry about that, everyone. And then our second part is going to be Danielle's top tips and tricks, and she is going to be talking more about integrating scripts and forms into Google Sites and general project management guidelines around it. At the end, we'll answer questions from the moderator that you guys have been filling out for the past week or so. And if you have any questions during this that you'd like us to answer, go ahead and post them to the Google Plus event, and we'll be live monitoring that and answering them at the end if we have any time. All right, so Christina, are you ready?
Yeah, if you can show the next slide.
Here we go.
Okay, great. So I'm going to take you through kind of the basics of building a site. So first, figuring out how to even find the site UI. And then we're going to teach you how to add a site background. Then we're going to go into enabling horizontal navigation, creating a header with logo, and then simply adding pages. All right, so I'll start my screen share now. Okay. So here is my email box. So right here, as you see in the black bar, I have a site. I can navigate to sites directly from here. If for some reason you don't have it right here on your black bar, you could select More, and then Even More. We have a lot of fun apps. And then I just do a quick Control F with those. So there's two different ways to get there. Now, this is the interface that all your companies will be in when you start sites. Here you have all the sites that you have created. As you see here, you have a chance to enter a description and also categories here, which will help you and others find and navigate to your site later on. You could also browse sites right here to see what other sites are available on your domain. Since we're creating a site, I'm going to select the Create button. I'm going to name this HoA Site Test. And as you can see here, they populate a URL depending on what your domain is. I am on a Google Apps domain. For themes, I like to start with one that's called Blank Slate. So it's completely my own design. And as you can see, there's tons of options. One of my other favorites is LegalPad. And when you create a site, this is what it looks like. Here's your editor. So here is an actual page editor. Then you have the option to add a page. And then you have this More button, which I'll explain in a minute. And then you can share this. You can share it so everybody can find their access or just share with specific people. Also, you can give specific people editing access and others view-only access. So the first thing I want to do is make my site pretty. So I'm going to add a great UI. I'm going to go to More and then to Manage Site right here. The first thing I like to do is I like to create my own logos. So I don't have a need to show my title. A description. Looks like we might have cut out for a moment. Just
back up.
All right. So let me try screen sharing again. Okay, so this is under the general tab from your manage site editor. You can add categories to help people find your page, and then you can also add a description so that when people navigate to your page, they know what it's about. Other great cool tips here that I like to use, if you have a Google Analytics account, you can add the web property ID right here, so you can track who's seeing your account. And then there's different tools on who can see your different site activity. Because I'm concentrating on making my site beautiful right now, I'm going to go to Themes, Colors, and Fonts. Oh, I'm glad it sent me that reminder. You have to click Save. All right. From here, I'm going to work on my background first. So I'm going to look at my wrapper image. This is just how I like to create sites. There's tons of templates out there as well. So you can actually take screenshots of other pages and use them as your wrapper. This is one that I created for this purpose today. Something important here is that it automatically has it repeating horizontal and vertically. I like to just select horizontal. And then I'm going to go to my site header as well. Like I said, I like to create my own images. So from background, I go to image. And then this is a quick title that I created, quick header. And again, it automatically repeats, so I like to set this on none. Then I'm going to go to horizontal navigation. It's not enabled yet, but when I do enable it, I want to make sure that there's no background. I like to play with the fonts. The given font is actually a little small, as you can kind of see. Taking a while to load, but yeah, so you can, I believe, you can make the font a lot bigger, and you can change your fonts as well. I feel like I'm out again.
Very slow.
Okay, great. So it took a while to load this time. I have too many tabs open. Here we go. But yes, yeah, so you can change the color and the font and the size. Because we're running out of time, I'm going to go ahead and just change the font color. Okay. We'll use that. Sure. Want to make sure. Yep, we should be good. And I'll increase the size right here. Like that. Okay. I like to keep this editor open, so I just navigate to the site by right-clicking. And this is our site right here. So the next thing to do is to enable horizontal navigation. We're going to select More, and then go to Edit Site Layout. Now this is a new UI. It makes it a lot easier. It's an updated UI, so it makes it a lot easier to work than what we had in the past. So I'm going to enable horizontal navigation by just clicking that button, and I'm going to disable the sidebar by clicking that. Now as you can see, now we have horizontal navigation, but there's this big white bar there. So I'm going to click Edit Horizontal Navigation, and I realize that Boxes is enabled. I like to actually select Links, then I'll select OK. And there you go. Now as you can see, the spacing's a little off. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my header. So Edit Site Header, which you do just simply by clicking on it. And you can play around with this. So for example, I'm just going to guess it needs 50 pixels. Didn't really make too much of a difference. So then I'm going to go in again, and I'll try 60 pixels, not pickles.
Hungry much?
A little. And there you go. It's perfect. It's exactly in the middle. And then the other thing I like to do here is I like to edit my width of my page about to 80%. You can do that all from this bar, and you simply press Enter to make it happen. Refresh it. There we go. Okay, and we're good. The next thing we need to do is simply add a new page, which you simply do here. About's pretty standard. Great, and it's going to automatically open up an editor. What's great about the editors in sites is you actually have an HTML capability, so you can copy and paste from your old sites, or you can edit the HTML right there. You also have an option to edit different page settings. I tend to disable most of these, but the one I always enable is allow comments. And then you can also put in a page description and change your URL if you need to here as well. Now, as a last step, to add this to our horizontal navigation, we go to More, and then Edit Site Layout. We go again to Edit Horizontal Navigation. We add a page, select About, select OK. And you can move these up and down. You can make these sub-pages. It's totally up to you. Simply press OK. Close, and there it is. This is your beautiful site. Following these steps, you'll get the first things you need when you're first creating a site. And now we'll hand it over to Danielle.
Awesome, thanks, Christina. Hi, everybody. My name's Danielle, and like Debbie mentioned, I am a program officer at New Visions for Public Schools. In that role, I manage. I've supported the rollout of Google Apps across our organization a few months ago. And also, we're supporting the rollout of Google Apps for EDU to a network of 80 public high schools in all 5 boroughs of New York City. Very, very exciting. Today, what I'm going to walk you through is sort of how we're using sites in my organization to help teams of people work together collaboratively, specifically around areas of project and document management. So as I talk you through sort of our strategy for Google Sites, I hope also that you learn some technical skills around how to insert spreadsheets in your sites in list view and how to embed folders from your Google Drive into your site using the insert feature. So, but before I get to it, let me just set some context and tell you a little bit about my organization. The reason why we're making such a significant investment in Google Apps across our organization and across our network of schools is because we believe that it's a very strong productivity and communication platform. Organizations sort of drown in large and small inefficiencies. And in the context of school reform, these inefficiencies compromise our attempts at supporting our students and moving our schools forward. A pretty high stakes environment. So our collective challenge has really been how do we support individuals and teams within the flow of their work to collaborate around problems of practice and to learn from what has happened, iterate and move the work forward. And Debbie, could you go to the next slide, please?
Yep.
Great. We believe that that Google Apps, forms, sites, sheets, charts, scripts, these provide the building blocks for the transparent collaboration across and within teams. And it's become a particularly important way that we're solving this problem of practice that we're having. So how are we doing this? Across our organization, every team has a Google site for their team. And there are some commonalities across all team sites. For example, you see in the horizontal navigation, every team has a meeting and agendas page where we're being really deliberate about creating agenda documents and storing those documents for our meetings. There's also a task manager where teams have their project management tools embedded. There's also a link to all of the relevant Google documents and resources related to that team, embedded calendars, and links to other additional resources. There's also something really special about the way that we're using sites, though, at New Visions. And what we're doing is we're using sites to sort of house systems that automate routine workflow. And one example of that is that I'm going to walk you through today is the meeting and agenda system that most of our teams are using. Debbie, can you go to the next slide? So this is an example of what the meeting and agendas page looks like for a team. You can see that there's a link to a Google form and also an embedded spreadsheet in list view that has a list of all of the meetings, upcoming meetings, with links to the meeting agendas. And the whole process, go to the next slide, please. The whole process begins with the creation of a Google form. And this Google form collects the details of the meeting. This is something that's filled out by the workshop, by the meeting facilitator prior to the meeting. And the whole purpose of this is to really be deliberate about having an agenda for every meeting and outlining, being deliberate about setting objectives for that meeting and sharing those objectives prior to the meeting. So this Google form then goes to a Google spreadsheet. And this isn't just any old spreadsheet. It's special because on this spreadsheet is there's something called a Google script, an app script that is embedded in this spreadsheet. And this script, it's called Autocrat, was created by our sort of in-house app script guru, Andrew Stillman. He's a rock star colleague of mine that creates these scripts. And what this is, it's a little machine that lives on our spreadsheet that has all of the form responses from the meeting agenda creator form. And it's a simple document merged utility at its base. If you go to the next slide, the way that you can access this script, if you wanted to replicate a system like this, would be to, inside your spreadsheet that has the source data that you want to merge into a document, you would go to the Tools menu and click on the script gallery and search for Autocrat. And all of the New Vision scripts written by Andrew are public to the world. So this script is made available, and you just follow the prompts and authorize the script. And next slide, please. The script is, like I mentioned, it's a document merge. So what it's going to do is it's going to take, for every form submission that comes in, it's going to take the items from that form that you select and merge them into the document using the same template for every single agenda. And this is super useful because it makes it so that there's a consistent format on all of our team agendas. It shares those agendas automatically via email with the meeting participants. It uses a consistent naming convention, so we know every meeting agenda is named in the same way, and it places those agendas in the same folder in our Google Drive, so all of our agendas live in the same folder. It basically does the document management work for us, which is awesome. It also stores the links to those documents right within the source spreadsheet. Next slide, please. And this is really useful because once this is done, we have a single spreadsheet that has all of our upcoming meetings, links to all of our agendas, and a folder in our drive that has all of those documents in them. These are 3 examples of templates that are used by teams across the organization, and you can see in each template there's a collection of tags, and these tags are what Autocrat is replacing with the form data when it comes in.
That is so neat.
Next slide. Yeah, it's awesome. And you can imagine Autocrat being used for things like student progress reports, for unit plans or lessons plans. There's a lot of really interesting use cases for this script. And now that we have our back end of our agenda system all set up, we can utilize Google Sites to make this public and available to all the team members. So if you go to the next slide, Debbie. It starts with just creating a new page, which Christina just walked you through. And then we're going to insert a spreadsheet, the back-end spreadsheet in list view into our page. And this is useful because, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the difference between spreadsheet view and list view. Can you go to the next slide, please? Great. So this is the insert menu, and as you can see, there's great integration between Google Sites and all of the other Google Apps products. In this case, we selected Spreadsheet. Next slide. And when you select a spreadsheet, again, you have the different view options. And in this case, we're using list view. Next slide. And the reason why is because list view allows us additional filtering and sorting functionality that does not exist in the normal spreadsheet view in your Google Sites page. So if I wanted to come to this site and just see agendas related to my the meetings that I am facilitating, with list view I can come here, I can filter the agendas, the upcoming meetings spreadsheet for just those meetings that I am facilitating. Super useful. Next slide, please. And there you have it. Now we have our agenda system. And one thing that you'll notice on all these pages in our sites, in our team sites, is that there's very little text actually written into this site, and that's because we're really leveraging the strong integration between Google Apps, between all the Google Apps products and Google Sites. So when we make a change to the spreadsheet, it automatically updates on the site. If you just go to the next slide, Debbie, and one more. The last step of this agenda system that we use is to embed the folder from our Google Drive that has all of our agendas. So if a team member wants to come and see a whole history of all agendas, access notes from every meeting, they have all of that as well available on the Google site. And I think I'm over my time, so I'm going to stop there, and I hope that you guys found this useful.
That was awesome. Thank you, Danielle, and thank you, Christina. All right, so we're going to move on to our Q&A. I got a little jealous of that robot's moving mustache, so I made my own. So we're going to move on to our Q&A. Thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions via the moderator. Just to let you know, we took all of the feature suggestions and requests for the site's product, and we passed it along to our product teams for feedback, and they said, thank you, we're really glad we got this, and they're taking it into consideration. So let's start with our first question for Danielle. How does the site search engine work, and how can internet builders better tag their pages' content?
Great. That's a great question. So there's a really in an effort not to totally confuse everybody in trying to explain this, there's a really awesome help guide to this in the Google Sites help section. But essentially what you can do is if you're a site owner, you can control what visitors search when they enter a term in the search box in your site. And there's sort of 4 different options. The first is that they can search. You can make it so that the search bar searches not just the site that they're on, but multiple sites across the domain. You can set it so that it searches across the entire domain, and then you can set it so that it searches with additional features, and all of those are outlined in the help guide and under search options and special administrative actions on the Google Sites help page.
Awesome, thanks, Danielle. All right, this next question is for Christina. So, how do we allow administrators to monitor how many site spaces are used and free in a domain instead of asking for Google to do it for you?
So actually, this is already in development for enterprise clients, so good news.
Awesome. All right, next question for Danielle. Do you have any tips for content management across a domain with hundreds of Google Sites?
Yeah, this is a really great question. We rolled out Google Apps in our organization in July, and I think we already have something like 200 sites on our domain. So this is a really relevant question, I think, to a lot of organizations. So we've implemented 3 practices at New Visions to help manage, the sites that are created on our domain. The first is that we've created a network of Google advocates, and these are individuals that sit within each team at New Visions, and they're sort of responsible for informally curating and managing the use of Google Sites in their department. And then they come together weekly to talk about, with the technology team to talk about how the use of sites is going within those teams. So that's a good way of keeping communication open there. The second is that we've set an expectation that when creating sites, users should fill out a simple Google form, which feeds a spreadsheet that's embedded on our employee intranet where people can access a directory of sites across our organization. And then the last thing is we do have a third-party tool called CloudLock that we use mainly to sort of manage and monitor the sharing of documents that have sensitive information, making sure that we are protecting our students and our schools' information in a way that is sort of best in class. But CloudLock also has a sites feature where it allows us to flag sites that have outdated content. So the technology team gets a digest of all the sites that haven't been updated in a certain amount of time, and they can reach out to those sites owners and say, hey, is this site still active? If not, let's take it down. Let's remove that content and put it where it needs to be.
Great, thanks, Danielle. So we actually got a live question about where do we find the scripts that we can use in Google Sites. So Christina or Danielle, does one of you want to take that?
Danielle, you were saying that Andrew had put it on the script library, correct?
Yeah, so the script that I mentioned in my portion was a spreadsheet-based script. So this is something where you would open a Google spreadsheet, you would go to the Tools menu, and in the script gallery you would search for, that will open all of the available scripts to you. Scripts can also exist on Google Sites themselves in the form of a web app, but for that, I'm not an expert on that, but you can Google it.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle. All right, Christina, we have another question from a moderator, and it says, I would like to promote the use of sites amongst the staff and students at my college, but the standard sites looks like a relic from an earlier web. Are there any plans to update the UI of sites?
Yeah, we actually just released a new sky theme that I think would be really good for having a more modern look for your college sites.
Awesome. And one last, or a few last questions actually. So another live question we have is, can I use different fonts than the default?
Yes, definitely. So hopefully you guys saw that when I was doing the screen share. In fonts, we've actually added a ton of new fonts, and they're all really great and really unique to one another. So I definitely say you should check them out. Yes, so you can find them in Edit, Manage Site, and then in Themes and Colors.
Okay, how about resizing columns by dragging? Can we do that?
Yes, you can do that right now in the UI. I'm not saying it's perfect, but yeah, you can definitely do it. I use it probably every day. I simply just drag in the editor.
Awesome, thanks. And it looks like we are just about out of time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We'll post some of the links to some of the things we talked about, like that support article about search options on the event or in a follow-up to the question on the moderator. So thank you all for joining us today. We'll go ahead and post this video as a link as well in about a day or so once we have it finished. So thank you again, Danielle, and thank you, Christina. And I hope you guys found this useful.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.